Part 4, Chapter 27. Mental Mind. The extraordinary activity of consciousness. The mental mind and its power identify and animate only human beings. It is the essence of ruach. Neshama, consciousness. Consciousness, neshama, and the mental mind, ruach, are the fundamental components of each human being. They confer on us all the qualities that make us human. Therefore, grasping these basics is paramount to understanding the story of humankind. The explanation elaborates on the most critical aspects of the entire universe. The epitome of the creation in Genesis 2, verse 7. Not just the creation of the first human being, but in particular, what differentiates a human from any other life on earth, and indeed, the rest of the physical universe. We can affirm this because Adam is the specific description of the father of all humanity. Genesis 5, verse 1. The particularity that characterizes humans, and only humans, is Neshama. Getting the first piece of the human puzzle wrong will distort the rest of the human picture. And indeed, in psychology and the humanities, confusion reigns as to what consciousness and mind are. Neshama is the base layer of two layers of human mental capacity. Using God's word, the explanation identifies this with consciousness. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary furnishes 7 definitions, but we will go with the first. Quote, the quality or state of being aware, especially of something within oneself. Humans are aware of 5 fundamental qualities they possess. We could call them the features that characterize the first human. The features of consciousness have sub-features. These are all distinctive attributes of humans. These traits mark every human being who has walked the face of the earth. First, purpose. Human nature, space-time, creativity, imagination, learning, choices, growth, challenges, and ruling life. Second, function. Recognizing one's dual nature, free choice, behavior, ethics, justice, self-reproach, and forgiveness. Third, relationships. With self, gender, dating, marriage, parenting, friendships, and outlook on people and the world. And fourth, rulership, government at all levels, respect for individual and collective rights, reach peace and prosperity for all peoples. And fifth, reasoning, based on observation, intuition, philosophy, religion, science, and theology. Features are nice, but what they are used for is the key. The benefits are in their effectiveness. So here's the second layer of mentality. Ruach, mind. Whereas neshama is more of a static spirit, like a feature or a blueprint defining a human, the ruach is the dynamic, dynamis, active spirit. It is the force that energizes the neshama. By definition, being endowed with neshama, a human can learn. The process of learning is accomplished by utilizing ruach. Every human is born with cognition. Wikipedia explains cognition this way. Quote, cognition is the mental action or process of acquiring knowledge and understanding through thought, experience, and the senses. Cognition encompasses many aspects of intellectual functions and processes, such as attention, the formation of knowledge, memory and working memory, judgment and evaluation, reasoning and computation, problem-solving and decision-making, comprehension and production of language. Cognitive processes use existing knowledge and generate new knowledge. I italicized cognitive processes use existing knowledge and generate new knowledge for a reason. Generating new knowledge is a lifelong, ongoing, never-ending experience that only characterizes human beings and their mental minds. Animals do not accumulate knowledge. Even computers only manipulate knowledge into new patterns and spit out new results. But this is not new knowledge per se. It is merely old knowledge in a new format. Ruach mind is the activity of consciousness. Consciousness is a quality you possess at birth. Mind is all the activity, attitudes, moods, mindsets, feelings, emotions, sensations, thinking, and cognition, the active processes associated with these 5 qualities. These ongoing cognitive procedures that characterize humans result from ruach, the second layer of divine essence, the mental mind, the spirit that God has given to each human being. It is this spirit, working intricately with the Neshama, that allows the cognitive mind to develop over its entire lifespan. Job 32, verse 8. But there is a spirit, ruach, Strong's H7307. But there is a spirit in man, and the inspiration, that's Neshama, and the inspiration of the Almighty gives them understanding. Job 34, verse 14. If he, that is God, if he set his heart upon man, if he gathered to himself his spirit, ruach, 7307, if he gathered to himself his spirit and his breath, Neshama. This last verse is vital in understanding these 2 spiritual elements that have animated every mental mind of every deceased human being and all living human beings. Upon death, God gathers the Neshama and the Ruach, and together they represent the imprint, the memory, the life, and every recorded instant of each human being. I don't want to elaborate here, but it is the Neshama and Ruach at the moment of resurrection, and only at that moment, that confer the specific personalization on the resurrected being. After Christ's resurrection, he was a spirit, but the apostles and others who knew him recognized his personality and character. These 2 interlaced, God-given spiritual components, Neshama and Ruach, interconnect and impart the intellect to each human being. Together, consciousness and mind power compose the mental mind. By the way, I'm not calling it the human mind because that's a pleonasm. Why? Because human ruach is different from animal ruach. The first is mind. The second is instinct. Only humans possess mind. Put it this way, the ruach motorizes the neshama. The ruach is the imaginative, creative, animating power or dynamic force that solely endows human beings. The Neshama is like having an entire electrical circuit for city housing, shops, factories, public buildings, street lighting, and hospitals. Neshama is a unique framework and channel, but without ruach, electricity, it's useless. Likewise, electricity without the framework is futile. The circuit and electricity work together. The Neshama and the ruach work hand in hand. H. 7307. Ruach, wind, by resemblance breath, i.e. a sensible or even violent exhalation. Figuratively, life, anger, unsubstantiality, by extension, a region of the sky, by resemblance, spirit, but only of a rational being, including its expression and functions. KJV translations: air, anger, blast, breath, cool, courage, mind, quarter, side, spirit, spiritual, tempest, vein, wind, whirlwind, and windy. We've seen the Strong's definition on numerous occasions for different reasons. Ruach is the basis for understanding the mental mind. Notice that the King James translators rendered ruach with mind. This mind equates to the stillness of air and the violence of a whirlwind. This mind oscillates in its intensity. It is an aspect of the plasticity of the mind. This is the invisible, unsubstantiality without material substance, the invisible spirit. It is what powers our consciousness. I can't emphasize enough how important this most basic understanding is. The mind-body, spirit-material controversy has been going on for over 400 years and still rages on today. Philosophy and science cannot solve this issue. Philosophy can only speculate about the non-material. Science cannot measure and rejects the non-material. Religion has been misled and stammers around, muddled and confused. True theology and proper comprehension of Genesis 2 verse 7 give the limpid answer. Humans are formed dust, the body into which God infused the Neshama, consciousness, and ruach, the mind. These elements, the material and the non-material, the physical body, plus the spiritual consciousness and mind, compose a human being. The Bible alone has the correct answer. Proper theology alone can unlock and reveal coherent completeness. Check Strong's Concordance for associated biblical Hebrew words for ruach, H. 7307. For instance, H. 7306 includes a KJV translation, quick understanding. H. 7304 is translated, be refreshed and large. H. 7305 has the same notion of enlargement. The idea is the spirit can be revived. It can be enlarged for understanding. This is the powerful cognition of the mental mind. The above paragraphs concerning who and what a human being is are the most critical in this entire book. Deforming or missing this one piece of the puzzle falsifies comprehension of the rest of the story of humankind. King David of Israel knew he had a spirit, And as we'd say, the spirit in him, his mind, had ups and downs, good and bad phases. Humans are not robots. We're subject to all sorts of positive and negative experiences and influences around us. Our spirits can be on a yo-yo, emotional, interrogative ride. Psalm 51, verse 10. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit. That's H7307, ruach. And renew a right spirit within me. In another example, Hannah was the mother of the prophet Samuel. It was a long time before she became pregnant, and that caused her some mindful despair. She talks about how her spirit was affected. 1 Samuel 1, verse 15. And Hannah answered and said, No, my Lord. That's Eli the priest. No, my Lord. I am a woman of a sorrowful spirit. H7307, ruach. A woman of a sorrowful spirit. I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but have poured out my soul before the Lord. Here's a third example of a vigorously turbulent mind. During Job's troubles, there was a lengthy discussion with three of his closest friends and peers. A fourth, younger individual, Elihu, was also present, but he kept quiet, not having the same experience and stature as the three others. As the exchanges boiled on and each side maintained its stance, Elihu became increasingly upset. He knew both parties were off subject. Finally, he could no longer hold back and burst into the conversation. Job 32, verse 18. For I, that's Elihu, I am full of matter. The spirit, H7307, ruach, the spirit within me constrains me. His ruach was like the whirlwind definition. Poetically, Elihu begins to dispense sounder wisdom to these older men. Read verses 19 and 20. He used his consciousness and mind power, Neshama and ruach, to reason soundly. The ensuing exposé is of utmost importance by its content and impact. This chapter simply shows you what the Bible says about how the minds of all men and women function. Every day, minute by minute, activity takes place in your mental mind, not in the brain. These are workings taking place at the Neshama and ruach level. They fit tightly together like protons and neutrons in the nucleus of an atom, inseparable and fundamental particles of each human. We will return to the role of the mental mind in psychology and spiritual conversion. It is the central piece of the puzzle generally unknown to decision makers and influencers in both world and spiritual leadership roles. Yet, this is the number one reason for the state of worldwide mental health and spiritual turmoil in many religious organizations. So what role does the physical brain play with these two spiritual essences? That's for the next chapter.